I'm going to change my oil today. According to this, I did it at 125,000. It's done 132 now, so it's only 7,500 roughly, in kilometres, not miles. The reason I thought it was really due is because when the engine was cold start, the oil pressure was going up over time, almost to 3/4. When the oil is new, it doesn't go quite that far, so I'm thinking the oil is getting thicker and the pressure is building up. So what's the harm? I give my engine a hard time, change the oil a bit early, it doesn't matter. So replace the sticker, and maybe next time 10,000. Depends on the oil pressure, I guess. That's how I do it. Normally 10,000 I like to change. I've heard of people changing it at 5,000, but I'm not sure if there's kilometres or miles. But even miles, it's about 5,000 miles now. I think works out roughly the same. I like using Ryco filters. I've never had a problem with them, so I'll continue with them. If I ever start having problems with them, I'll change brand. But so far, my whole life, I've never had a problem with a single Ryco filter. And I use Repco, Penrite, not Repco, Dirt. Penrite oil. I've always used it. It's a good Australian brand, and again, never had a problem with it. So why change? Why change when you're on a good thing? I've been using it since I was a teenager, so I'm sticking with that. I'm going to use some gloves this time. I burnt my hand recently, and the skin is still very thin. Maybe it's better to use them anyway in future, but I'm going to give them a go. These are mechanics gloves. We'll see how we go. I just don't want to do anything to my new skin. So let's start. While I was under here, I noticed this. My CV boot. It's got a tear in it. It's making a mess of my underside. Next job on the list. When you're under a car, I always have a quick inspection. I also noticed that the plug is leaking a little bit. Very disappointing. And there's a bit of oil seeping from this gasket. So, diff overhaul, I guess, time. New seals, gaskets and bearings. Get that problem fixed next. But for now, the oil change. In this particular vehicle, it's either a 1/2 inch, or I use 13, which is 1/2 millimetre bigger than a 1/2 inch. But I found on the Jeep there's a lot of metric and imperial mixed. Sometimes imperial don't fix and fit, and metric will. It's a bit strange. It's all trial and error. With engine oil changes, some say it needs to be done hot, some cold. All I can say is, when the engine oil is not too bad, it can be done at any time, cold or hot. Let it drain all night, no problem. But when the oil is thick and sluggy, it needs to be done hot, so it runs out of the sump. You can't do it on a cold engine. But if the engine oil is still in reasonably good condition, by all means, cold or hot. I was going to do mine cold this morning, but I had to go and buy some gloves. I've never worn gloves before in a car. Let's see how I go. I usually like to be able to touch everything. I've got to make sure you've got a nice big container to catch the old oil in. I've got this old stainless steel pot that's got a tap in it, so it's easy to drain. And make sure you recycle your old oil and don't throw it in your backyard in a hole somewhere. It's very loose, that's probably why it's leaking. If it's really hot, be careful you don't burn your hands, please. Not that that happened to me, that was cooking oil, but... And then let it drain. And if it's really windy and you're outside, forget it. It'll go everywhere. Just let it drop in. Saves trying to catch it, it'll make a mess. And while it drains, go and have a cup of coffee or something. Give it a break. Wait a while. I always seem to over tighten my filters, and that goes. And I can't find my special filter tools, and so I may as well show you the backyard way. You use a long handled screwdriver and you go to the strong edge of the filter. It's like where it's folded over, and if you hit at the right angle, the screwdriver will dig into this and then tap it in the way you want to turn it. It should come loose. Takes a bit, it is spinning. I may be able to get the rest of the way. Worst come to worst, get the screwdriver, put some rags down, put the screwdriver straight through the filter and spin it. But better if you don't. Yeah, I've got it now. Alright. Bring my tub over. There goes the glove already. I hate gloves. There's my rag. Seems that little indent with the screwdriver stops it spinning. One day I'll get myself a hoist. No, what a bitch. That's a tight fit on that can't go through now. I wish I had my tools. Spin it a bit more. It's a little bit out of round and it's hitting the block. Not the way I wanted to show you, but hey, this is true to life. Now it's coming. I'm not going to edit this out. Ooh. There we go. Drain your filter, put it aside, upside down of course. I always like to prime my filters. Just, oh crap. When you recycle your oil, throw it out. Don't keep it hanging around. Always try and prime your filter. It keeps the air out of the system and it's better for your bearings. It can take a little bit, but it takes a while for the paper to absorb. Even half full is better than empty. Okay, we'll keep topping that up. When you pretty much finish filling it up with your finger, lubricate the new oil seal before you spin it on. Okay, there we go. Spin it back on. Some will leak, but that's alright. Get the angle right. There we go. Spin it on until it touches. Then it says 2/3 more of a turn, so that point there should be about there. So look at the writing. That should be about there. So here we go. And that's what is recommended. No more, because they're a real bitch to get off when they're tight. As you can see, one glove only, my burnt hand. I'd rather get dirty hands than wear gloves, sorry. That's the filter. Now it's just a matter of fishing out the plug out of my oil and then putting it back in and topping the oil back up, and that's the oil change done. I'll also have a bit of a clean up under here. It's a bit oily. I don't want any oil under my car. Alright, give everything a bit of a wipe. I'm so anal, I almost feel like taking all the engine out just to give the engine bay clean. Do it all over again. Alright, screw the bung back in. Don't over tighten it, you don't want to strip it. That's the last thing you want to do. Alright, it's touching, and I should say only a quarter of a turn, if that. Now, after you've done all this, and you've wiped the oil off everything, after your first good drive, pop your head under, have a look, see if the plug is still leaking. You may need to put a new seal around it, and check the oil filter, make sure that's not leaking. Last thing you want is oil on underneath your car, so always check after your first drive to make sure there's no major oil leaks anywhere. And while you're doing stuff like this, check your coolant level, things like that, and anything else you may think of, your power steering fluid, etc. May as well while you're at it. This particular engine, the oil filler is here. Always check for any signs of water or moisture, which is usually a white oil. And this one's quite easy to top up. I usually tip in about 3/4. This is a 5 litre container. Pretty sure it takes 4.5 litres. I'll grab a rag. Can you see that on there? Yeah. And that is now on add. So take into consideration the motor car is on a bit of an angle and some oil is still running down. I'll pour in another litre, and when I check later for oil leaks, check the oil again just in case. I always wipe it and re-dip it. Let's just have it. It is now on the borderline of add and safe. So let's see what happens if I dip it again, how much oil has run down in that time. See, it is now in the safe area. From experience I can tell a bit more. This afternoon I'm going for an hour's drive. After that I'll check for oil leaks and top up as required. And that's basically your oil change. This is same for any car. Just the drain places, the filter may be in a different position, the fill up spot may be slightly different, the engine dipstick may be in a different place, but basically this is the same for any car. And as the last thing, most of these oil containers now have stickers on the back. Fill it in, takes 2 minutes, fill it in and stick it somewhere where you remember. So when you wonder, oh, I wonder when I change the oil, you don't have to think, just have a look. It's always easy. I stick it in my door, on the inside of the door. I'll put on 132,500, and then I will know roughly when it needs doing again. These are a big investment. Use the right oil for your engine. Look at the list or the book and find out what your engine needs. Very important. Okay, take care.